Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Monday, April 12th, 2021. Today I'm going to recap the results of the Masters. We'll go over the weekend's results from Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, and look ahead to today's games in each sport. We'll go over the NASCAR races from the weekend, MLB Powr rankings, latest news and notes, American Idol, and my best bet of the day. We're going to start with the Masters just to change things up. It's a fun tournament every year, but we saw history. The first Japanese player to win the Masters with a score of 10 under, Hideki Matsuyama. I'm so happy for him. He was 40-1 before the tournament, amazingly enough. That was great value, and they should have pulled the trigger on it. I was literally going through the odds, and I'm like, oh, that's good value for Hideki Matsuyama. But hey, congratulations to him. This must mean a lot to him. And even though he went one over in the final round, he still got the victory. So congratulations to Hideki Matsuyama. In second place with a score of 9 under, Will Zalatoris. He had a great Masters. Tied for third with 7 under, Xander Schauffele and Jordan Spieth. Tied for fifth with 6 under, John Rahm, who was my pick, and Mark Leishman. Seventh place with 5 under, Justin Rose. Justin Rose got off to a fantastic start, but he just faltered there at the end. Tied for 8th with 4 under, Patrick Reed and Corey Connors. Tied for 10th with 3 under, Tony Finau and Cam Smith. Tied for 12th with 2 under was a pretty big tie. Kevin Na, Robert McIntyre, Webb Simpson, Siwoo Kim, Brian Harman, and Stuart King. Tied for 18th with 1 under, Tyrell Hatton, Scotty Scheffler, and Conor Mrugwa. Tied for 21st at even, Harry English, Victor Hovland, Phil Mickelson, Justin Thomas, and Shane Lowry. Justin Thomas was the pick of a friend of the podcast, Jared Smith. So my pick did better than Jared Smith's pick, although Justin Thomas thought that had a shot. All right, rest of the notables. Tied for 26 with 1 over, Bubba Watson, Abraham Ancer, Paul Casey, Louis Olson, Cam Champ, Ian Poulter, Matt Jones. Tied for 34th with 2 over, Matt Fitzpatrick, Matt Wallace, Ryan Palmer, and Mike Thompson. Tied for 40th with 4 over, Sebastian Munoz, Joaquin Neiman, Mackenzie Hughes, Gary Woodland. Tied for 46th with 5 over, Tommy Fleetwood, Bryson DeChambeau, and Brendan Todd. 49th with 7 over, Jason Kokrak. Tied for 50th with 8 over, Brett Horschel is in that tie. Adam Scott was 54th with 11 over, and then cut Sergio Garcia, Daniel Berger, Kevin Kisner, Brooks Koepka, Lee Westwood, Dustin Johnson, Rory McIlroy, Dylan Fratelli, Lucas Griffin, C.T. Pond, Zach Johnson, Patrick Cantlay, Jason Day, Sanjay M. Yes, it's some big names cut in the Masters. It was a fun tournament. And next up for PGA is the RBC Heritage. I remember that from last year. It was one of the first tournaments we had after golf restarted. And this is obviously in Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. So, should be a fun tournament coming up over the weekend for sure. Now we'll move on to Major League Baseball from the weekend. We'll go over the weekend's results and look ahead today, and we will start with Friday, as we normally would on a Monday podcast. Dodgers over the Nationals 1-0. Giants over the Rockies 3-1. Angels over the Blue Jays 7-1. Indians over the Tigers 4-1. Braves over the Phillies 8-1. Rays over the Yankees 10-5. Padres over the Rangers 3-0. And that was a no-hitter, the first of 2021 by Joe Musgrove, who I wasn't a big fan of coming into the season. Wasn't really a big fan of Pittsburgh because he never really put it all together. He showed flashes, but to me, the parallel is Brad Keller of the Kansas City Royals, not necessarily Garrett Cole of the New York Yankees, but he looked closer to the latter in that no-hitter performance in Arlington against the Rangers in front of a full capacity. Athletics over the Astros 6-2. Reds over the Diamondbacks 6-5 and 10. So best bet from Friday night was a winner. Saturday, Rays over the Yankees 4-0. Marlins over the Mets 3-0. Mariners over the Twins 4-3 and 10. Brewers over the Cardinals 9-5. Giants over the Rockies 4-3. Athletics over the Astros 7-3. Indians over the Tigers 11-3. Pirates over the Cubs 8-2. Red Sox over the Orioles 6-4 in 10 innings. Padres over the Rangers 7-4. Blue Jays over the Angels 15-1. Braves over the Phillies 5-4. Diamondbacks over the Reds 8-3. Dodgers over the Nationals 9-5. Royals White Sox postponed makeup date May 14th due to weather. Sunday, Yankees over the Rays 8-4 in 10 innings. Red Sox over the Orioles 14-9. Pirates over the Cubs 7-1. Indians over the Tigers 5-2. Marlins and Mets was suspended and will resume play on August 31st at 1:10 p.m. Eastern Time. Marcus Stroman, this was ridiculous, went out and threw 9 pitches in the rain, and they put the tarp on, and that was it. The game got suspended. Poor Marcus Stroman. And Marcus Stroman, in typical Marcus Stroman fashion, went out and complained on Twitter. Royals over the White Sox 4-3 and 10. Mariners over the Twins 8-6. Brewers over the Cardinals 9-3. Padres over the Rangers 2-0. Giants over the Rockies 4-0. Diamondbacks over the Reds 7-0. Dodgers over the Nationals 3-0. Phillies over the Braves 7-6. And what was a controversial finish to this game. Alec Boehm in the top of the ninth looked like he scored the go-ahead run for Philadelphia on a sacrifice fly by Didi Gregorius. And they called him safe, and his foot didn't even touch home plate. So Brian Snitker challenges, and they don't overturn the call. That will be probably the worst call of the year. The worst call of the year. That should have been out even without replay. That was terrible. And that single-handedly cost the Braves this game, in my opinion. And the Phillies really should be 5-4, and so should Atlanta. That was just absolutely terrible. And I think Alec Boehm was surprised himself that they called him safe on that play. So Joe Girardi gets lucky and was gift-wrapped a win because of the officials that decided that he was somehow safe. And Angels Blue Jays was postponed. Makeup date August 10th. Monday, which is today. 2 o'clock, you have the Red Sox and the Twins. Martin Perez and Jay Happ. Perez is winless with a 5.4 ERA, whip of 1.5. Happ, no decisions either, with a 2.25 ERA with a whip of 1.5. So Happ's off to a decent start so far in Minnesota. I personally think that if he has a good season, just being out of New York and into a bigger ballpark will be the beneficiary for him. Happ and the Twins are minus 144. Boston's plus 122. Over under 9.5. Overs minus 105. Unders minus 115. Red Sox plus 1.5 is minus 164. Twins minus 1.5 is plus 136. I'm going to take the Boston Red Sox as a dog here against Minnie. The Red Sox and their current position player group, no Jay Happ from his Yankee days. JT Martinez, Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers all have success, I think. So I'm going to say the Red Sox get it done at plus 122 straight up. 6:30, the Padres at the Pirates. Yu Darvish and Trevor Cahill. Darvish, no decisions with a 4.22 ERA, whip of 1.22. Cahill 0-1 with the ugly 15.75 ERA with whip of 2.25. The Padres are minus 230. The Pirates are minus 190. Over under 8. Overs minus 105. Unders minus 115. Padres -1/2 is -122. Pirates +1/2 is +102. I'm going to take the over 8 and -105. I think the Padres could do this alone. I could see this being a 9-0, 9-1 type of ball game. So going over 8 and -105. Mariners, Orioles. Almost said Oilers. Justice Sheffield and Drew Kremer. Sheffield 0-1 with a 7.2 ERA, whip of 2. Kremer 0-1 with a 9 ERA, whip of 3. Orioles are -104, Mariners are -112, over under 8.5. Overs -120, unders -102. Mariners -1/2 is +150. Orioles +1/2 is -182. I'm going to go with, this is a hard one. Orioles first half +120. I like Kremer. I think that he just ran into two good offenses in Boston and New York last 2 times around. This is a much weaker offense in Seattle. So I'm going to go Orioles +120 first half. Yankees, Blue Jays, Garrett Cole and Robbie Ray. Cole 1-0 with a 1.46 ERA, whip of 8.89. Robbie Ray is making his season debut. The Yankees are -198, Blue Jays +166, over under 9, overs -102, unders -120. Yankees -1/2 is -120, Blue Jays +1/2 is even money. Tough one. I don't like Robbie Ray at all. I think he's one of the most overrated pitchers in all of baseball. So I'm going to go over 9 at -102. I think that the Yankees can do this by themselves. I think that Toronto can get to the Yankee bullpen a little bit. Garrett Cole was so much better in his second start than he was in his first start. Not that he was bad in his first start, but like that Orioles start was so good. So I'm going to go over 9. Maybe the Yankee bullpen gives up a couple garbage time runs. I could see this being like a 9-2 game. So give me over 9 at -102. Phillies, Mets. Chase Anderson and David Peterson. Anderson and Peterson both 0-1. Anderson's 3.6 and 0.8. Peterson's 13.5 and 2.25. The Mets are -142. The Phillies are +120. Over under 8. Overs -118. Unders -104. Phillies +1/2 is -172. Mets -1/2 is +142. I'm going to go with the Phillies +120 on the money line. I think that David Peterson will potentially be good, but I'm doing this based off of previous starts and value. So I'm going to go with the Phillies +120 straight up. Rangers, Rays. Dane Dunning and Tyler Glasnow. Dunning 1-0 with a 1.8 whip of 0.6. Glasnow, no decisions, 0.75 and 0.58. The Rays are -230. The Rangers are +190. Over under 7.5. Overs -115. Unders -105. Rangers +1/2 is -118. Rays -1/2 is -102. I'm going to be ballsy and take a +90 with Texas. I like Dane Dunning a lot. He's been impressive. I think that they will eventually be like, hey, we got somebody here that could be our ace down the road. We actually got something for Lance Lynn. So we go with the Rangers +190 straight up against the Rays. And by the way, Rangers first half is +230. So you know what? I like that even better. I'm going to go Rangers +230 first half. And I'm going to take +190 as well. So podcast play will be +230 first half. Or I'm sorry, +190 game, full game. But I'll also take a chuckle on first half +230 for Texas. 7:15, the Marlins and the Braves. Sandy Alcantara and Huascar Yanoa. Alcantara 0-1 with a 1.5, whip of 0.83. Yanoa, no decisions, no ERA, whip of 0.67. The Braves are -154. The Marlins are +130, over under 8.5. The Marlins +1/2 is -162. The Braves -1/2 is +134. I'm going to go with Marlins first half at plus 160. I like this a lot. I think that they can get off to a fast start in this game, and their bullpen can blow. So we go Marlins plus 160 first half against the Braves. 7:30 Cubs Brewers at Bert Alzolay and Freddie Peralta. Alzolay 0-1 with a 7.2 and a whip of 1.2. Peralta no decision 0 ERA whip of 1.43. The Brewers are minus 134. The Cubs are plus 114. Over under 8.5. Overs minus 114. Unders minus 106. Cubs plus 1.5 is minus 188. Brewers minus 1.5 is plus 155. I'm going to go Cubs first 5 plus 135. And I like them to win the game too at plus 114. So for the pick of the podcast, I'm going to go plus 114 and pick the Cubs as an underdog to upset the Brewers. 7:45 Nationals Cardinals, Steven Strasburg and John Gant. The Nationals are the Cardinals are plus 138 or minus 138. The Nats are plus 118. Over under 9, overs minus 104, unders minus 118. Oh, it says Eric Feed on here. ESPN's telling me Steven Strasburg. So I don't even know who's starting. Let me just double check. So the Cards minus 138. The Nats are plus 118. Over under 9. Overs minus 104. Unders minus 118. Nats plus 1F is minus 166. The Cardinals minus 1F is plus 138. Very quickly, I have to see if Strasburg's starting in this game. It's Eric Feed. So, I am going to go over 9 at minus 104. I don't like Eric Feed. To me, he was just an overhyped pitching prospect that never really panned out. And John Gant is John Gant. Like, there's nothing special about John Gant. So I'm going to go over 9 at minus 104. 8 o'clock, the Indians and the White Sox. You got Shane Bieber and Carlos Rodon. Bieber with a 3.65 ERA with a whip of 1.22. Rodon 1-0 with a 0 ERA whip of 0. The White Sox are minus 130. Oh, now it actually says Tristan McKenzie is starting, not Shane Bieber. And now you're going to have another conundrum. And I like Tristan McKenzie, too. Yeah, so it is Tristan McKenzie. So, FanDuel's better at knowing who's starting rather than ESPN. White Sox are minus 138. The Indians are plus 118. Over under 8.5. Overs minus 105. Unders minus 115. Indians plus 1F is minus 178. White Sox minus 1F is plus 146. I'm going to go Indians first half plus 145. I love Tristan McKenzie. I think he can be the number 2 starter in the Indians rotation by the end of the season, if not the number 3, behind Bieber and Zach Plesac. So I'm going to go Indians first half at plus 145 against the White Sox. Angels-Royals. You got Alex Cobb and Brady Singer. Cobb, no decisions, 4.5 and 1.5. Singer on one with a 13.5 and a 2.4. Angels minus 112. Royals are minus 104. Over under 9. Angels minus 1F is plus 146. Royals plus 1F is minus 176. I'm going to go with Royals first half. Oh, that's not even up there. So I'm going to go Royals full game at minus 104. I love Brady Singer. I think he'll bounce back. So I'm going to go minus 104 with the Royals against the Angels. 9:30, you got the Diamondbacks hosting the A's. You have Chris Bassett and Madison Bumgarner. Bassett 0-2 with a 5.56 ERA, whip of 1.41. Bumgarner 0-1 with 11 ERA, 2.22 whip. The A's are minus 134. The Diamondbacks are plus 114. Over under 9. Overs minus 120. Unders minus 102. A's minus 1/2 is plus 128. Diamondbacks plus 1/2 is minus 154. I'm going to get to my overreactions in a little bit in my MLB power rankings, but I'm going to lay the run line with the A's. Minus 1/2 at plus 128. Madison Bumgarner is not the same. And this could go down as one of the worst free agent signings over the past 10 years for the Diamondbacks and in just baseball, period. So I'm going to go Athletics minus 1/2 at plus 128. And at 9:45, you have the Giants hosting the Reds. Wade Miley, Aaron Sanchez. Miley 1-0, 0 ERA, whip of 0.5. Sanchez, no decisions, 1.8 and 1.2. The Giants are minus 124. The Reds are plus 106. Over under 8.5. Overs minus 106. Unders minus 114. Reds plus 1.5 is minus 205. The Giants minus 1.5 is plus 168. I'm going to go over 8.5 and minus 106. I'm going to play it safe rather than sorry. This could be a Vegas no situation. Reds off to a great start. And they're a dog. But Reds and over is plus 290. I like that a lot. But to play it fair on the podcast, I feel better about the over than the Giants. Because the Giants have been a little bit better than I thought. So I'm going to go over 8.5 and minus 106 between the Reds and the Giants. Now I'm going to move on to the NBA from the weekend and look ahead to tonight's games. So without further ado, here we go. Friday night. Pacers over to Magic 111-106. Celtics over to T-Wolves 145-136 in overtime. Knicks over to Grizzlies 133-129 in overtime. Hawks over to Bulls 120-108. Pelicans over to 76ers 101-94. Hornets over to Bucks 127-119. Nuggets over to Spurs 121-119. Wizards over to Warriors 110-107. Clippers over to Rockets 126-109. Saturday, Raptors over to Cavs 135-115. Lakers over to Nets 126-101. Kevin Durant played in this game, and so did Kyrie. What a bad loss for Brooklyn. I know they didn't have Harden. Even if they did have Harden, yeah, the game probably would have been closer, but that's just a terrible loss with both those guys on the court. Sixers over to Thunder 117-93. Jazz over to Kings 128-120 or 112. What makes it terrible, obviously, no AD and no LeBron, referring to Lakers Nets. Warriors over to Rockets 125-109. Suns over to Wizards 134-106. And the Blazers over to Pistons 118-103. Sunday, Hawks over to Hornets 105-101. Celtics over to Nuggets 105-87. Pelicans over to Cavaliers 116-109. Bucks over to Magic 124-87. Spurs over to Mavericks 119-117. Knicks over to Raptors 102-96. Pacers over to Grizzlies 132-125. Timberwolves over to Bulls 121-117. Clippers over to Pistons 131-124. And the Heat over to Blazers 107-98. Tonight's window, 7:30 of the Lakers and the Knicks. This was supposed to be the ESPN game, but with the injuries to LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they flipped it to what was arguably a better game all along in the 76ers and the Mavericks. But let's face it, the reason why that was on ESPN is because it's LeBron at the Garden against a somewhat decent Knicks team. My projections, Lakers by 1, even without those two guys. Total 213. Obviously, if Mitchell Robinson was there and or more fans, the Knicks would have been a projected favorite. So, Knicks 2, total 205 is actually it. I'm going to go over 2.5 and minus 110. I would go Lakers and over and maybe sprinkle Lakers money line a little bit. But I'm not going to take the Lakers because the best player on the court in this game will be Julius Randle. If not him, R.J. Barrett. R.J. Barrett's really made a huge step forward post All-Star break. He's going to be an All-Star next year. I'm going to go over 205 for Lakers-Knicks. ESPN 76ers Mavericks. I'm at Philly 5, total 222. Meanwhile, it is 3.5 and 221.5. I hate this because this is right in my vicinity, so I'm not going to bet it. But for the sake of the podcast, I'll give out the minus 3.5 of Philadelphia. They'll have the best player on the court in the game, and potentially in Joel Embiid. The best player on the court might be Luka Doncic, but I'm going to say that it's Embiid because the Mavericks have no answer for him. At least they have Ben Simmons, the guard, Doncic, and Porzingis is nowhere on the level of Joel Embiid. 8 o'clock, the Nets and the Timberwolves. I'm at Brooklyn 13.5, total to 30.5. Meanwhile, it's 6.5 and 236.5. I'm going to lay to 6.5 with Brooklyn. I know they're without Harden and Irving, but they still have Durant there. So I'm going to lay the 6.5 with Brooklyn. Kevin Durant will dominate in this game. The Spurs and the Magic. I'm at Spurs 10.5, total to 19.5. Meanwhile, it's 6.5 and 219.5. I'm going to lay the 6.5 with San Antonio. And minus 114. 9 o'clock, you have the Bulls and the Grizzlies. I'm at Memphis 2, total to 26. Meanwhile, it's Memphis 3, total to 29. I have to take the under. Memphis is a better defensive team. And I think that Memphis' defense could step up a little bit and could slow down the clock. So I'm going to go under 229 between the Bulls and the Grizz. Kings Pelicans. I'm at New Orleans 4, total to 31.5. Meanwhile, it's 3.5 and 232.5. I'm very close on the numbers. I'm not going to play it. I'll just give it out because it's where I have my biggest edge in this game, but it's only 1 point, and I'm going to go under 232.5. It's the slimmest of slim edges there. The Wizards and the Jazz. I'm at Jazz 17.5, total to 28.5. No Mike Conley tonight, and it's 12.5 and 234.5. I'm going to go under. Like I said, no Mike Conley. I think the Jazz offense will be a little worse. But their defense, even without Mike Conley, is good. So I'm going to go under 234.5 between the Jazz and the Wiz. 10 o'clock, ESPN, Nuggets Warriors. A fantastic game from the Chase Center. I'm at Golden State 10.5, total to 25.5. Meanwhile, it's 4 and 226.5. I'm going to lay to 4 with Denver. Golden State has the best player on the court, probably in Stephen Curry. But where's the answer for Nikola Jokic? Denver will exploit the mismatch. No James Wiseman. Draymond Green's not Draymond Green anymore, so I'm going to lay the 4 with Denver against Golden State. And last but not least, the Rockets and the Suns. I'm at Suns 15 total to 22.5. Meanwhile, it's 13 and 228.5. I'm taking the under. These Houston totals are overinflated. The Rockets suck offensively, so I'm going to go under 228.5 at minus 112. Alrighty then. Now we'll move on to hockey, as we will go over the results in the NHL, and we will look ahead to tonight's games. So, beginning with Friday night, Rangers over the Islanders 4-1, Penguins over the Devils 6-4, Caps over the Sabres 4-3, Blues over the Wild 9-1. Wow. Golden Knights over the Coyotes 7-4, Avs over the Ducks 2-0, and Sharks over the Kings 5-2. Saturday, Flyers over the Bruins 3-2, Stars over the Panthers 4-1, Red Wings over the Hurricanes 5-4 in a shootout, Blackhawks over the Blue Jackets 4-3. Jets over the Canadiens 5-0. Maple Leafs over the Senators 6-5. Lightning over the Preds 3-0. Blues over the Wild 3-2 in overtime on a game winner by Ryan O'Reilly with 2 seconds left in overtime, so it was almost a buzzer beater. And the Flames over the Oilers 5-0, as well as the Kings over the Sharks 4-2. Sunday, Islanders over the Rangers 3-2 in overtime on a game winner by Ryan Pollock. Sabres over the Flyers 5-3. Knights over the Coyotes 1-0. Avs over the Ducks 4-1. Pens over the Devils 5-2. Caps over the Bruins 8-1. Wow. And the Preds over the Stars 3-2 in a shootout. Tonight's window. 7 o'clock, you have the Red Wings and the Hurricanes. Should be a fun matchup. I'm kidding, it's not. Because it's a bad team and a good team. Carolina's a ridiculous -405. The Red Wings are plus 320. Over under 5.5. Canes -1.5 is -137. Red Wings +1.5 is +114. I'm going to go over 5.5. I think the Hurricanes could potentially do it by themselves. I know the Red Wings have been playing frisky a little bit on both ends. So I'm going to say that this could be a 4-2 game with the last goal for the Canes being an empty netter. Or either team for that matter. We're more likely the Canes than not. Blackhawks, Blue Jackets. Chicago's -136. Columbus is +116. Over under 5.5. Blackhawks -1.5 is +210. Columbus +1.5 is -260. I think that the Blue Jackets might come out emotionally drained after the trading of their captain, Nick Foligno, which we'll talk about in the news and notes segment. I'm going to pick something interesting here. Blackhawks in regulation at +115. I can't believe it's +115. I think it should be more than that. But I'll still take it because it's plus money. So Blackhawks regulation at +115. I also would parlay that with the over. Maple Leafs, Canadiens. Montreal is +122. Toronto's -144. Over under 5.5. Over's -138. Under's +112. Maple Leafs -1.5 is +184. Canadiens +1.5 is -225. I'm going to make a ballsy play under 5.5 at +112. The Canadiens I could see play a low-scoring game. Toronto's goalies have been good. I think Carey Price can keep Montreal in it. I think this could be a 3-2 game either way. So I'm going to go under 5.5 at +112. And maybe I'll sprinkle a parlay with tie for 60 minutes. Because I can see this going to overtime in a 2-2 game. The Jets and the Senators. Winnipeg's -198. The Senators are +166. Over under 6.5. Overs +106. Unders -130. The Jets -1.5 is +138. The Senators +1.5 is -166. I know the Sens have been competitive in some games this year, but I'm taking the Jets -1.5 at +138. Just going to go with some value here. I think that the Jets will come out blazing tonight, regardless of who's in net for Ottawa. So I'm going to go Jets -1.5 at +138. 8 o'clock, the Blues and the Wild. The Wild are -148. The Blues are +126. Over under 5.5. Overs -106. Unders -114. The Blues +1.5 is -240. The Wild -1.5 is +195. I'm going to go with another over here at -106. I think the Wild offense will bounce back here, and I think the Blues will put up a number 2. So I'm going to go over 5.5 at -106. 9 o'clock, the Coyotes and the Avalanche. The Avs are -400. The Coyotes are +315. Over under 5.5. Overs -120. Unders -102. The Coyotes +1.5 is +112. The Coyotes -1.5 is -134. They're overinflating everything involving the Colorado Avalanche, but I'm going to take a juice number with the over here. Play Coyotes overs until further notice, with last night being an exception. 10 o'clock, you have the Golden Knights and the Kings. The Golden Knights are -180. The Kings are +152. Over under 5.5. Overs -112. Unders -108. Vegas -1.5 is +134. The Kings +1.5 is -162. I'm going to go under 5.5 at -108. The Kings looks like they're going to be a seller. They just traded away Jeff Carter. We'll get into that more in the news and notes segment. I think that the Golden Knights goaltending has been spectacular this year, as well as the Kings. So I'm going to go under 5.5 at -108. And at 10:30, you have the Ducks and the Sharks. The Sharks are minus 190. The Ducks are plus 160. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 115. Unders minus 105. The Ducks plus 1.5 is minus 178. The Sharks minus 1.5 is plus 146. I'm going to go over 5.5 at minus 115. I'm surprised that the total's so slow. I think it should be 6.5. The Sharks have been weirdly scoring a lot of goals of late. I think they could do this by themselves. So I'm going to go over 5.5 at minus 115. Now consider parlaying that with tie through 60 at plus 330. Because I could see these guys going into overtime. All right, now we will go over the NASCAR results from the weekend. They were interesting, to say the least. We will start with Xfinity. They are racing from Martinsville. And your winner of this race was Mr. Josh Berry, which was pretty unexpected, in my opinion. Second, Noah Gragson. Third, Daniel Hemrick. Fourth, Ty Gibbs. Fifth, Brandon Jones. Sixth, Austin Cindric. Seventh, Harrison Burton. Eighth, Justin Haley. He was my pick. Ninth, Justin Allgaier. 10th, Michael Annett. 11th, Jeb Burton. Then the rest of it, Brett Moffitt, AJ Allmendinger, Jeremy Clements, Matt Snyder, Josh Williams, Brandon Godvic, George Gorham Jr., Jade Buford, Stephon Parsons, Greg Galding, David Starr, Ryan Sieg, J.J. Yelly, Kyle Weatherman, Bailey Curry, Brendan Brown, Matt Jaskell, Riley Herbst, Timmy Hill, Alex Lab, Jesse Little, Matt Mills, Tommy Joe Martins, Wayne Perkins, Jeffrey Earnhardt, Landon Castlegoat, Joe Graff Jr., Colby Howard, and Ryan Vargas. And those are your results for Xfinity in Martinsville. And now to the Cup Series race in Martinsville. And your winner for the second consecutive race, Martin Truex Jr. The race had to finish yesterday due to the rain. And Martin Truex Jr. wins the race. And as I mentioned at the top, back-to-back wins for Martin Truex Jr. Second, Chase Elliott. Third, Denny Hamlin. Fourth, William Byron. Fifth, Kyle Larson. Sixth, Joey Logano. Seventh, Chris Bell. Eighth, Tyler Reddick. Ninth, Kevin Harvick. That was my pick. 10th, Kyle Busch. And the rest of it, Ryan Blaney, Matt DiBenedetto, Chris Buescher, Austin Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Bubba Wallace, Ross Chaston, Cole Custer, Ryan Newman, Eric Almirola, Kurt Busch, James Davison, Josh Bilicki, Quinn Half, J.J. Yeley, Anthony Alfredo, Chase Briscoe, Cody Ware, B.J. McLeod, Eric Jones, Michael McDowell, Daniel Suarez, Brad Keselowski, Alec Bowman, Justin Haley, Ryan Preece, and Corey LaJoie. All right, now I'm going to do my MLB Power Rankings for the week. It's going to be interesting because I have a theme to this one. Overreactions through 10 days of the season. This is fun. I almost did overreactions last week, but instead I decided to do them this week so we had more time to overreact. So, without further ado, here we go. And obviously I'm going to look back at these at the end of the season to see what was proven right or wrong. Number 30, the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to be number 30 every week probably. My overreaction for them, Gregory Polanco is not a starting player on a good team. And he's off to a terrible start this season. And it was funny because he was highly regarded 7-8 years ago. And he really hasn't done much on the big league level. And to me, it just feels like a guy that never lived up to the potential. 20, the Colorado Rockies. Is John Gray turning a corner? 28, the Miami Marlins. 2020 was a fluke. 27, the Texas Rangers. Nick Solak's hot spring was a fluke. Number 26, the Baltimore Orioles. John Means is taking that next step. 25, the Detroit Tigers. Akil Baddoo is a real player. 24, the Oakland Athletics. Jesus Luzardo won't be what we thought. We'll see about Luzardo, and he hasn't looked like the guy we expected so far. 23, the Seattle Mariners. Mitch Haniger is back to what he was 2-3 years ago. 22, the Kansas City Royals. Carlos Santana is washed. Number 21, the Washington Nationals. Max Scherzer is in decline. Number 20, the Arizona Diamondbacks. Madison Bumgarner is washed. Number 19, the Toronto Blue Jays. Steven Matz is the next Jake Arrieta, who gets traded from a dysfunctional franchise to a different team and shows new life. Number 18, the Cleveland Indians. Tristan McKenzie is the American League Rookie of the Year favorite. 17, the San Francisco Giants. Mike Yastrzemski was a fluke. Obviously, after a bad start this season. And like I said, these are overreactions that I'm giving out that could be fake or real. And we will look back and see what overreactions were fake and which ones were real. So I don't truly believe all this. Some of them I do, some of them I don't. But we'll see. Obviously, the Steven Matz one I'm not buying. I'm not sold on Baddoo from the Tigers. Meanwhile, on the flip side, I do think that John Means is making a jump, and Gregory Polanco is a fourth outfielder. Number 16, the Chicago Cubs. Jake Arrieta is back to what he was with his first Cubs tenure. 15, the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox are back to their 2018-19 days when they were under Alex Cora. 14, the New York Mets will still take Jacob deGrom for granted, like they did on opening night. 13, the New York Yankees should have traded Gleyber Torres plus Davy Garcia, Clark Schmidt, and others to Cleveland for Francisco Lindor. And this is obviously because Gleyber Torres' defense is terrible. We want Francisco Lindor, the top 2 shortstop in all of baseball. But if this issue continues, maybe it'll be Trevor Story or Javier Baez, or if they fall apart, Carlos Correa. Number 12, the Tampa Bay Rays. Randy Arozarena is the guy we saw in October. Off to a great start this season, but we don't know. 11, the Atlanta Braves. Ronald Acuna Jr. will run away with the National League MVP. Number 10, the St. Louis Cardinals. Alex Reyes will remain healthy. 9, Milwaukee Brewers. Corbin Burns is an NL Cy Young candidate. Number 8, the Cincinnati Reds are the National League Central favorites. 7, the Philadelphia Phillies are the National League East favorites. 6, the Chicago White Sox. Yermin Mercedes is a real player. Number 5, the Minnesota Twins. Jose Barrios is a Cy Young candidate. 4, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Mike Trout will run away with the American League MVP. 3, the Houston Astros are the team to beat in the American League. Number 2, the San Diego Padres. With his no-hitter, Joe Musgrove is a Cy Young candidate for the National League. And number 1, the Los Angeles Dodgers are a lock to repeat as World Series champions. And obviously, I don't think that will happen with the Dodgers. The Padres Musgrove off to a good start, but I don't know. Probably not. Astros team to beat? No. Trout runaway for AL MVP? No. He's an injury away from being out of the race. Barrios? No. Yermin Mercedes has looked great so far, but I don't know. No to the Phillies. No to the Braves. Or the Reds, I'm sorry, for the respective division favorites. A maybe for the Cardinals in a good way. No with the Braves Acuna. Maybe with Tampa Bay with Arozarena. The Yankee one is a controversial one. I'm going to say no, because there's other good shortstops on the market that the Yankees could overpay and give up Gleyber Torres for if need be. I think the 14 with the Mets could be accurate come the end of the season. Red Sox, no. Their pitching's horrible. 16, the Cubs, one with Arrieta, no. He'll regress. I think that the Indians, Tristan McKenzie, could be the AL Rookie of the Year favorite by the end of the season. That's a good one. I think Madison Bumgarner could be washed. Max Scherzer could be in decline. Carlos Santana could be washed. I don't know if Mitch Haniger's back, but he's been pretty solid so far this season. I talked about the rest of them earlier in the segment. And the Marlins, I don't think were a fluke in 2020 per se, but I think they took advantage of COVID, of that short season. If we played 162 instead of 60, I don't think they would have made it. But future's bright, but 2020 indeed, I think, was a fluke, as well as Nick Solak's hot spring training. Alrighty, now we'll go over the latest news and notes. A lot of it is NHL trades, because today's the trade deadline. Yesterday felt like the trade deadline with a flurry of trades, so we will start with hockey. And the big one that happened last night is that the Boston Bruins acquired Taylor Hall as well as Curtis Lazar from the Buffalo Sabres for Anders Bjork and a second-round pick. I think that is a great trade for the Boston Bruins. They did not have to give up a first for Taylor Hall, who has been disappointing this year. He's probably, you could make a case he's had a disappointing career. He only had one great year at the Devils, which was an aberration. So, I really like that. And I think Lazar is a good depth player for Boston as well. So, I do think that this could work out for Boston. The Pittsburgh Penguins acquired Jeff Carter from the Los Angeles Kings. We don't know what the return is yet. But this trade actually hasn't been made official yet, amazingly enough. But it looks like that the former Stanley Cup champion is headed to the Penguins. Oh, wait, it is official. They announced it at almost 2 o'clock in the morning. So, a conditional 2022 third rounder and a conditional 2023 fourth rounder. So, I think that that's a good move for Pittsburgh. I think he can play in their top six or in their middle six. And he's signed through next year, and LA will retain 50% of his salary. So I think that's a good deal for the Pittsburgh Penguins, who also acquired Nicholas Deslauriers from the Anaheim Ducks. And that is also a solid trade for Pittsburgh as they get yet another depth player for themselves. So I'm trying to find where they announced the trade. But I think that it was a conditional pick going to Anaheim as well. So, two nice trades made by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Boston acquires Mike Riley for a 2022 third-round pick, so a good depth piece for Boston. A big-time deal with Toronto getting Nick Foligno for a first-rounder and 2/4 in a 3-team deal with San Jose. So Foligno, I think, will be a contributor to Toronto and will play in their top 6, maybe even with Matthews and Tavares. So we'll see how that works out. John Morrell to Montreal for a 2021 5th-round pick and prospect Hayden Verbeek. So I think that was a good deal for Montreal, getting a depth defenseman. The Florida Panthers signed Nikita Gusev after being released by the Devils, so good depth pickup for them. Toronto gets David Rittich from Calgary for a 2022 third-round pick. Henrik Lundqvist won't play this year for Washington. That's just very unfortunate for him. Hopefully he gets well soon. Devin Dubnyk went to Colorado for, I believe, a 4th. That was a great trade for Colorado, getting a goalie that's played in a lot of big games before from back in his Minnesota Wild days. And there were a couple other trades that happened over the weekend too, but that was the one for me that stood out the most. Brandon Montour also got dealt over the weekend, and he landed with the Florida Panthers. So I thought that was a solid deal for Florida, getting Montour as a top 4 defenseman for their team. And I believe there was one more trade on Saturday night. And I'm trying to think of what it was. But I'll recap the deadline on tomorrow's podcast. So if I think of it, it will occur to me. Non-hockey trade deadline news. Philadelphia Eagles owner Jeff Lurie and GM Howie Roseman treated Doug Peterson like a quote-unquote baby. And they ridiculed and criticized Peterson's every decision. So that's just a weird report that came out by The Athletic about a half an hour ago. Braves pitcher Drew Smyly rips Major League Baseball after that call, and he said it was embarrassing that the upheld call happened in the 9th inning and gave Philly the win over Atlanta in the 9th. And he goes, why even have replay? I think that replay is important. I just think that the umps were blind in this case, and I ripped them earlier in the show. Wyoming football recruit Tony Evans Jr. killed early Sunday morning in a shooting at a Dallas hotel. Thoughts and prayers out to his family and the Wyoming football program. That's just horrible news. A better parlayed Hideki Matsuyama winning the Masters and Eric Bledsoe to score 25-plus points and won $44,000 in what I thought was a very bizarre parlay. Tiger Woods congratulates Hideki Matsuyama and says, this historical Masters win will impact the entire golf world. I think that was very nice of Tiger. Obviously, Tiger was very missed over the weekend, and hopefully he'll be back on the golf course sooner rather than later. The Cleveland Browns are having a visit with Jadeveon Clowney. This would be a good pickup for Cleveland. He would help them tremendously, in my opinion. And after meeting over the weekend. Warriors fear that rookie James Weissman may not return this season after suffering a torn meniscus. And it looks like he's out for the year, so it's just sad news because Weissman really had an impact on the Warriors this season and really helped their team defensively and put up some solid offensive games as well. Eddie George, the coach Tennessee State, the former Titans Pro Bowler and Heisman winner, will be the new head football coach at Tennessee State. That's according to Stadium, which is Brett McMurphy. So we'll see how this goes. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Sometimes if you go home to coach, it doesn't always work out. And the grass isn't always greener on the other side, so it's going to be interesting. I really don't cover FCS on my show a lot, but we'll see how this plays out. Dexter Fowler has a torn ACL. He's out for the season. Unfortunate for the Angels outfielder, but this obviously opens the door up for Joe Adell to get recalled and hopefully to really make a name for himself after struggling in the big leagues previously. Miguel Cabrera placed on the injured list. The Tigers' first baseman was put on the 10-day injured list. Hopefully he gets back soon. He's 12 homers away from a milestone homer mark. So we'll see if he comes back sooner rather than later. And the Eagles may draft quarterback as insurance for Jalen Hurts or competition. So I guess they're trying to tell you don't rule out the Eagles picking a quarterback at 12, which I doubt it. I think those 5 quarterbacks will all be off the board by then. If anything, Philadelphia might draft a quarterback in like the second or third round, like a Kyle Trask or somebody like that. So I'm interested to see what the Eagles do there. Alrighty, now we will recap yesterday's episode of American Idol. We had the top 16 be revealed, and it was an interesting week, to say the least. We just had the top 16, and obviously we won't know the results. Alyssa Ray went first. She performed Killing Me Softly with his song by Roberta Flack, which I thought was a neat performance. Graham DeFranco went second, and Graham performed That's Life by Frank Sinatra. Or was it the one by Marianne Montgomery? I don't remember. I think it was Frank. Grace Kinsler performed Elastic Heart by Sia, featuring The Weeknd. Alana Sophia performed The Story by Brandi Carlile. Willie Spence performed Set Fire to the Rain by Adele. Deshaun Gonsalves performed Feelin' Good by Nina Simone. Wyatt Pike performed Use Somebody by Kings of Leon. Cassandra Coleman performed Wicked Game by Chris Isaac. Caleb Kennedy performed Midnight Train to Memphis by Chris Stapleton. Colin Jameson performed Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Tears. Casey Bishop went 11th and performed Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden. Madison Watkins went 12th and performed Gravity by Sarah Bareilles. That was outstanding, I thought, by Madison. Bean performed Searching for a Feeling by Elliot Skinner. Hunter Metz performed Skinny Love by Bon Iver. Ava August performed 2002 by Anne Marie. And Chase Beckham performed Waiting in Vain by Bob Marley and the Wailers. And then the wild card contestants will go tonight. We do not know who those 6 performers will be. And then obviously a week from yesterday will be the top 12. So we will talk about the wild card performances on the podcast tomorrow. Last but not least, my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. There's a couple of ones that I liked, but really didn't love, per se. I'm going to lay my 5 units. And Philly's down to 2.5 against Dallas. That's wild. I don't love that I'm doing this because I don't like betting on this team very much. Because their opponent, I think, is just going to tank games the rest of the season. And I'm referring to, guys, as the San Antonio Spurs. I'm going to lay 5 units on the Spurs against the Orlando Magic. So there you have it, my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. So that's it for the podcast. I'll be back tomorrow recapping baseball, hockey, and basketball from today and looking ahead to tomorrow's games. We'll recap the wildcard round of American Idol. We may or may not have an activity in store for you guys. That is a TBD. At the moment, we are 16 days away from the NFL draft. So next week will be the week where we're going to start doing multiple mock drafts. We're going to wait a week to do that. So maybe no activity tomorrow. We'll see. And then news and notes, obviously, as well as my best bet. Hope you guys have a great day, everybody.